Hello and welcome to episode 123 of Gamers Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony Chasson, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod. He's on day release from the Xbox Controller Addicts program. It's Just Had Popcorn, Stuart Burgess. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hello, good evening. Yes, my obsession with Xbox One controllers has hit a plateau tonight because I think I've now finally got my last one. So all skepticism will be revealed eventually, but yeah, my last one turned up today from all the way from New York. It's taken about 2 weeks to get here, not from Amazon, obviously.
Yes.
But yes, it was one I've been waiting for. And it's a rather nice Call of Duty one.
Oh, nice. Is that what one's that? Is that the kind of green camo one? Is that one, or is it?
It's a sort of like a military green. It was with the Advanced Warfare game,
right.
If my memory serves me correctly. It's sort of like a camo green, but it's got some nice sort of graphics on it. So it's got sort of some gold, sort of the D-pad's gold on it. It's got, a little bit like the Gears of War one, where it's got some bits that you initially look at and you think, oh my god, is that ruined? And it's like, actually no, that's the graphics making it look like it's run across the floor or something like that.
Yeah.
So I have had to take the said controllers away from the house up to the office because they are taking up quite a lot of room.
I bet.
So yes, and I went up to see your good friend the Framer in Royal Tunbridge Wells, and
yes,
he pretty much burst out singing inside when he found out he had something other than the normal boring photographs to frame, and it was something gamer related.
He's quite cool. I like it. Like I say, when I took the Firewatch stuff down, he was giddy. He was giddy when I did that. It was like, I know that. He's a really cool guy, actually. I quite like him.
Yeah, I mentioned you, and he instantly remembered you. So I'm not sure whether that's you personally or whether that's the Firewatch artwork. But I think we had a 2-second conversation about what I wanted him to do, and then a 20-minute conversation about gaming. So yes, it was my parking was running out, and I had to run.
That sounds like a good ratio. So what's your controller count at the moment? How many controllers have you got? And side question: are you going to just be watching the E3 briefing, hoping that there'll be new controllers?
On the last question, I will be watching it, hoping that there's not new controllers, because if they do release controllers, and Major Nelson, if you're listening, please take note of this. Please make them the colourful ones that don't bear any resemblance to a game.
Right.
Because my cut-off point has been the controller must be related to a game. So like the Sea of Thieves one just recently. Yes, I know I got blasted on the WhatsApp group, but I even bought the Minecraft ones as well. Yeah. That's sort of where I've left it. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's somewhere between 10 and 15.
Wow, that's so cool.
Don't ask me how much I paid for them. Some of them you cannot buy anymore unless you traipse around eBay, politely asking people to make an offer on their controller.
Right.
But actually, I must say, every single one I've managed to get has been sealed and mint, and
wow.
So it's been good because there was some stupid prices out there. I mean, I did stop short of the Gears of War Elite controller because you cannot find that new, and if you do, there are some people out there who say that it's new and they want about £750 for it.
Wow!
Second-hand mint people are saying that they want about £250 to £300 for it, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not paying that for a controller.
Wow.
So I think the most I've paid was this Call of Duty one. I think that was about £90. So when you consider what an average Xbox One controller costs you, and what the limited edition Sea of Thieves and that cost you, around about sort of 50-60 British pounds. So that I was happy with that. I was happy paying that type of money for it. But yeah, so I'm hoping to get them all framed up now, and they're hopefully going to go into the new demo room at work, which I was talking about last pod. So and I'm going to try and get them to work via HDMI control. So when you come in, you sort of pick your weapon, press the Xbox button, and then that fires the cinema up. So that'll fire the Xbox up, we switch the amp on, we switch the projector on, and then you're ready to rock and roll. And man. Should be fun.
That sounds like such a cool thing to do. Like you say, have them kind of there. You can just go, oh, I'll have that one, and then, but you got to put them back when you're finished.
Yeah, well, it all my idea for it all sort of started because I was having a bit of a clear out, and like you and the rest of the Sparks, really, you've got a lot of gaming stuff lying around, and I suddenly started moving around and thinking, hold on a second, I've got the Duke, I've got the Xbox 360 controller S, and then I've got all the other controllers like the original day one, Xbox One, the Project Scorpio. I know it wasn't labelled in this country, but the original Xbox One S. So it's like that's where it originally started. Was like that'd be really cool to put like the history of Xbox controllers sort of on the wall in a frame. And then that sort of escalated into the co-branded ones, but I stopped at the funky coloured ones because that was just going to get stupid, and I didn't have that many walls. Exactly.
Same if we've got like a Just Have Popcorn kind of colour or branded one. That's the next thing you can do. Start giving those out at trade shows.
Actually, you do laugh. I did have a look because after someone, which I believe was you, showed me the very limited edition Le Mans, i.e. there was only ever 3 made controllers. That did get me looking around to see if I can get a controller remade.
That's a gorgeous thing, that was. I saw that at Gamescom. It was lovely.
Yes, no, that was a case of I was driving, well, I wasn't driving, my beloved wife was driving up to see the osteopath on a Saturday morning in Tenterden, and that pinged up on WhatsApp, and I just went, I have to have that. And so I'm frantically messaging away on Facebook and things like this, trying to find it, and it quickly came that it was a very, very, very limited edition, i.e. I think there was only the 3 made, or the one of each.
Wow.
And they're probably sitting in a cupboard somewhere. I'm hoping they haven't been thrown away. They're probably sitting in a cupboard somewhere, but there's no chance of me ever getting my hands on those. Unless you're listening, Major Nelson, and you want to get rid of them.
Yeah. Whoever took down that Gamescom unit probably went, I'll have that. And it was just because I remember that was the same time they had the Forza car, because that would have been Forza 6 when that was out. So they had the Forza 6 car, and that was all around the limited edition Forza 6 Xbox as well. So it was just like, it's a gorgeous thing.
Well, so the only other one I found which you can buy, but if my memory serves me rightly, it was a white Xbox One, so the original 2013 one, and it was branded I made this, and it was given out by Xbox to Microsoft employees who made the Xbox One console. You can find them, but they're going for about the whole system about $2,500 to $4,500. So again, I will get kicked out of the house if I ever bought that.
I've seen it. And I'm sure that's breaking some kind of Microsoft policy for selling that on as well, I'm sure.
Maybe, yeah. There seems to be, like the internet is these days, there seems to be a way of getting hold of anything.
Yes, indeed. You can. It was a present. I gave it to someone as a present, in quotes.
Yeah. This week I have been up to London 2 weeks in a row, I think. I went up the other week up to an event with work up at Dolby in Soho, which was awesome. If anybody listening to this pod is a moviegoer and they want to experience probably the best cinema, one of the best cinemas in the world, if you can ever get into Dolby in Soho, they've just redone the cinema in there, and it is sublime. Well, let's put it this way. When you do a job, you're used to seeing things and you're used to experiencing the best, especially like with cinema. And I hate going to commercial cinemas. And you had probably about 100 people in there, all of similar ilk. They build, high-end or mid-end cinemas. And Dolby have a trailer like they do with most of their cinemas, where it talks about Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and a lot of us have seen the Dolby Atmos one, so it whirls through that and then it goes to Dolby Vision, and they just bring up this screen with this dot in the middle, and it basically goes, this is white, this is black, actually this isn't black, this is black. And then literally the whole room goes black, and everybody in the room says things I can't repeat on the pod, otherwise it would need an 18 certificate. But yeah, it was phenomenal. Sound, vision, all of us just wanted to sit there and watch a movie, but apparently we all had to be out by 5:30 because they had a private screening there, and of someone, but we didn't know, and they wouldn't tell us who was coming. So something was being screened there. They did say to us, we know it's Tom Cruise's favourite cinema in London, and if ever he's in London and he's going to be shown a film or some snippets or anything, he demands that it's at Dolby in Soho.
Wow, that's just so cool. I love it that around London there are so many hotels that have these private cinemas in. You know, I went to, for my 40th birthday, Nicola hired a cinema, so in a hotel. So it was one of the ones that was just off of the Strand, and so we had the hotel there, so we had cocktails before, and then we went through and we had like popcorn and hot dogs and stuff, and we kind of did it so that everybody who came along got to choose the movie, so we had a vote. Awesome. So we had like 5 of my favourite movies on the back.
So Batman,
yeah, Batman,
and Batman.
And Batman. No, I think it was because it wasn't kind of my true favourites, but it was like kind of ones. There was Avengers, there was Empire Strikes Back, there was Rear Window, there was that, there was Toy Story 2, I believe, and I think something else. And so everyone had to vote. They had to like reply and email, and we ended up watching Avengers, and so in this cinema, and it was so cool. It was just like you kind of brought along the Blu-ray, and they just kind of they played it, and it was really cool. You know, it was really nice just to kind of be in that, kind of have that very personal kind of cinema. So I bet the one you went to was just incredible. When you kind of go to a place like that and then you come home, do you go, oh god, this sounds horrible? You know, it's just
yes and no. Luckily I haven't got the room to have that, and
but when you get the demo room, it won't matter. You'll be like, I'm better than this.
Well, I mean, I know when we asked them what projection it was, they just looked at us and went, "They're our own projectors."
Oh, wow.
And they're co-created with a company called Christie, and we know Christie's projectors are phenomenal.
Wow.
But they are getting on for lottery winning money.
Wow.
And of course the images they're showing, you might sometimes think that there's also 2 projectors there, so you're thinking whatever that projector costs, a very big family house in Tunbridge Wells, there's probably 2 very big family houses in Tunbridge Wells in that room at the back.
Wow.
But no, I mean it's good. I mean, yeah, going back to we know a lot of installers through the Home Tech Gallery, and obviously through the job I do. And yeah, you're right. I mean, we've got a client that's just bought an apartment in One Blackfriars, I think it is, one of the new buildings in Tunbridge Wells. That's got a cinema in downstairs.
Wow.
And a lot of the communal places in, I think One Hyde Park's got one as well, where where you had that communal gym and you had that communal this and that. There is a communal cinema now, and you can book it, you can bring friends, and you can use it. And then
cool.
Hotels are doing that as well. There's a guest house down, I think it's Cornwall Way, a friend of mine, Simon, did. That's the same. I think that's got about 30 seats in it, a big screen, a projector, and you as a guest you get to use it and hire it out. So there's a lot of sport people out there in awesome cinema.
That's just so cool. Yeah, that's just so cool. We all have one soon. You'll be like, I'm just popping off to see a movie, and then you'll go to. Yeah. I'm just going to go to work, dear, and then you're taking like the entire Star Wars with you. Just like so.
I have turned the geotagging off on my phone, so I cannot be found via geotagging. So done that. Been up to London. Went up again this week to a trade event, sort of over near Shoreditch Way, which was very good. Got to meet some new people. Got to talk to some manufacturers, and got to just geek out basically, as you do when you're talking to fellow technical guys. So no, that's sort of been busy. Put my feet up last night. Watched a film that you actually recommended, or you tweeted out, one of the animated Batman movies, The Killing the Joke, I think it was called.
It is indeed, yeah.
And I am ashamed to admit that is probably the first time I've watched an animated Batman or DC comic or anything like that. Really,
Wow.
I've not really. I'm not really been a party to those, but yeah, it was good. It was nice. It was just long enough, and just. Yeah, man crush. Mark Hamill as the Joker is phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I listen to the Joker in that, you could just see him when he's been doing interviews and he's sprung into the Joker voice. But yeah, it was good. A bit more raunchy than the usual Batman movies that you see on the silver screen. But no, it was very good. It was different, and I'll certainly be looking out for more and adding those to my Sky planner. So. Yeah, but other than that, been busy with work. So
the Batman animated stuff is absolutely fantastic. You know, the voice of the Batman on there was Kevin Conroy, who did the Batman animated TV show. So he did that,
right?
And it's actually from an Alan Moore, Brian Bolland graphic novel, which is even more kind of disturbing in a graphic novel form. But I do love that, and it was really interesting because I saw it on the Sky Planner, and I just said to Nicola, "Oh, you've got to see this," because I'd already seen it when it first came out. I said, "Let me just show you this. Let me show you," because I wanted to do a comparison between what Brian Bolland's Batman looked like in that graphic novel compared to kind of how they'd animated it, because they really kind of got quite close. And then she sat there and she went, "This is really good. Can we just continue watching?" So we just continued watching the whole of The Killing Joke, and towards the end it does get a little bit disturbing, but it was just really cool, and she just sat there. I mean, one of the things I would recommend is The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2. They are absolutely fantastic. Again, it's from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns graphic novel, and they're really good. And also on Sky as well, they've got Year One, which is kind of like the very beginning of Batman, and that's a really good animated one as well.
Yeah, I noticed that because obviously when you flick something on the remote control, it brings up and then shows you like the next episode or similar to this, and so it brought up the Dark Knight movie, and then it brought that one up. So it's like, ooh, flick across, record or download that one. So I've got that one to dip into, because I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I know you guys have stopped watching it, but I sort of binged the Walking Dead end of the season, and although it's getting a bit like Lost, in my opinion, the Walking Dead, where it's however long it is. It's let's say 15 episodes of this. I'm just gonna watch it, and then the last 2 episodes. Oh my god, I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah.
The characters in it are developing, but I do feel that without giving the ending away, they've spun it a bit, and next season's going to be interesting, which I think they needed to do. But I can't remember the gentleman's name now, but the guy who plays Negan is phenomenal, and I'm glad it's there, but I think they need to end it. But so that's the sort of other things. But apart from watching those sort of things, sometimes I sort of sit there and think, I don't really fancy a Flash tonight, or or something like that. It's like, actually, what else is out there? And I think that's what the world we live in is awesome, because go onto Netflix and you go onto Sky Q and you see people tweeting things. Or you go onto Letterbox, and you're just like, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, yeah, it's an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes. Oh, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
So I think it's great for content. It's brilliant what we live in. So
absolutely. I mean, one of the it's quite funny actually, because just before we came up to pod, I started watching a brand new Batman animated, which is called Batman Ninja, and this is crazy. It's a Japanese anime version of Batman. So basically, right at the start of this movie, not a spoiler, but right at the start of the movie, Batman gets transported from Gotham, from present-day Gotham, to kind of old-timely Japan, where there are samurais, and it is absolutely crazy. And I, like I say, I've only watched like the first 25 minutes of it, and so at the moment, it's very much if you like anime you should watch it. If you don't like the kind of the way that anime presents itself, it might be a little bit too crazy. But it looks phenomenal. It looks absolutely superb, and but it's a bit weird. It's a little bit weird. So it's like Batman Ninja. But I watched it. I'm probably going to watch the rest. It's on my iPad, so I'm going to watch the rest probably on the train tomorrow or something like that. So yes, it was crazy, but I love it. I love that DC actually doing something right, and that's their animated shows. Their animated movies. There was one called New Frontier, which was absolutely fantastic, and they just do that. They do that right. They do that incredibly right.
Oh, it seems. I mean, from watching that one last night, it just seems that they're capable of pushing the boundaries a bit more in the animated stuff, where obviously on the big money, Christopher Nolan blockbusters and things like that, they can't potentially. They've got to cater to a massive audience. Where last night, as I say, it was a little bit more raunchy. There was a few things that were different, and it was a refreshing change.
Yes.
So it was just nice to step away from the stuff that you're shown every day and watch something a little bit different.
Indeed, and it's just so cool, so fantastic. Sounds like a good week, sir.
Yes. What about yourself? Obviously, we all knew you were up to something last night, and you disappeared off the internet yesterday from about 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So, Anthony, what have you been up to this week?
I went to see Infinity War last night as well. I went to see, and I think from Monday, I saw Monday they had the premiere in LA. I thought it was Tuesday, but they'd moved. I think they moved it, but there was a premiere that was on Monday. And suddenly I saw the likes of Kevin Smith saying, I'm going to the premiere. And I was like, right, that's it. It's time for me to step away from the internet, which... unfortunately, I have to admit, it's really hard, and I just kept finding myself whenever I was just doing nothing, that I was just my instinct is to unlock my phone and click Twitter and just do that kind of all the time, and it was just really bizarre. And I was like, no, damn it, Chesson, closing Twitter. So yeah, and then all of the other sparks were taunting me and teasing me yesterday. So I just was
we were.
I left my. I was in a work. I was facilitating a workshop all day yesterday, but I just left my phone at my desk. I was like, I'm just going to ignore those guys, and I'm just because it was so hard having to go into work. So I went to the midnight showing at X Plus at Blue Water, but having to go into work, so I basically sat there, this paranoid nerd on the train. I think I must have read about 14 comic books going up and the same coming back, because I was just stuck to my iPad. I didn't want to look around just in case someone had the Metro, or someone had the Evening Standard and it had stuff in it, because the Metro they've been kind of synonymous for spoiling things. They do like their headlines. They did it with Walking Dead. They did it with Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So, but I went to see it last night. I won't say anything about it. I think it's too early. It's only kind of today is the first day. We can talk about it again on another pod when everyone else who wants to see it has kind of caught up. But I went to see it with my brother-in-law Brad. So we went along, and it was just amazing. It was so cool. So it was midnight, 12:05. The cinema, Blue Water, was packed. We were in X Plus, and they had it in 3 other screens as well. So they had it in IMAX, X Plus, and 2 other smaller X Plus, I think, or Gallery or something like that. But there were so many people, and at 3 a.m. when the movie finished, just all of these people just coming out to an empty Blue Water. It was almost like something out of Walking Dead, It was just it was so eerie. You had all these kind of very excited, maybe some happy, maybe not, maybe some not, but was just coming out of this screen, and it was just really bizarre. And then I got into my car. For some reason, I always park in a certain area at Blue Water, and for some reason I was the only person there. So I'm thinking, it was 3 a.m. It must have been about 3 a.m. And I'm just in this car park on my own. It was really strange. And then I just kind of shot back, and then my petrol light came on the M25 at 3 a.m. and I was like, oh God, get me home. And luckily I did get home about 3:45, and then just went brushed my teeth, went straight to bed, and then I think I woke up at about 7:30, 7:45 this morning. So I'm kind of running. I'm running, and then the previous day I was up at 5 to go into London, so I'm running on like about 4 hours sleep at the moment, and that's why I've got a large cold brew while we pod. But it was a great experience, and it was just really cool. Like I say, it was just the cinema was just full of like-minded people. I was there in my Dark Buddy tee, obviously, and everyone was reacting to the bits together. You know, it was really cool, and it was just, and it was fantastic. So I just go along and see it, and the Dolby Atmos presentation that we had was incredible. The only thing I would say was that I thought the speech was a little bit quiet. It's almost like it was very boomy. But when they were talking, you could hear people shuffling around in their leather chairs. Do you know what I mean? It was just, it was almost like it's midnight, so we're going to keep it down a bit. You know, it's almost like they needed, because
the subs were banging, but the vocals were down.
Exactly. It just, and that always, like, you know, it must be the bane of your kind of life. But when you go to a badly mixed cinema, but there was points where you were just like, that could do with just being a little bit crisper, a little bit louder, you know, and that's kind of, but because you could tell it was low because you could hear the rustling of popcorn. I mean, and you know, it was really funny actually. I bought myself a big bucket of popcorn, and I kind of halfway through the movie, I stopped eating. I was so engrossed in the movie that I actually didn't. And at the end of the movie, I looked down and there was like three quarters of popcorn just still there. So I just kind of started eating on the way home. But yeah, and that was my only kind of gripe. But I love that cinema so much. It was like, you know, I've now booked in that seat, in that row, in that seat. I've now booked Infinity War again for Saturday, Deadpool 2, Jurassic World, and I'm waiting for Solo to come available because that's my seat now. I used to have one in the IMAX, and this is labelled. My seat. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting a good arse groove in there. You know, I'm really kind of getting down, and I was like just scudging down the last night. But you know, like I say, we'll talk about it some more. And I just think, you know, it's not fair just to kind of, but it was just such a great night. I really enjoyed it, and it was really good because, like I say, I think I booked to go on my own, and my brother-in-law was listening to the podcast, and he rang me up, and he was like, "Are you really going to the midnight show?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Can I come?" And I was like, "Of course." And I think we were like 6 seats apart, but it didn't matter because you weren't talking to anyone. You know, I didn't blink. I don't think. You know, I didn't. My eyes didn't move off of that screen, so it was good fun.
Well, I must admit, after the last pod where we sort of mentioned that we might go together, I'm glad you didn't ask me because as soon as it gets past like 10:05 for me in the evening, I'm done. You know, it's like I struggle to pick up an Xbox controller, let alone get in a car and drive from Rye, where I live up the M20 to Bluewater. So I suppose my biggest question about last night was Five Guys open and the Lego store? Because they would have made a killing last night with burgers and geeks coming out all wanting to buy Lego and things like that.
It was such a shame because I thought the same thing, you know, like Krispy Kreme, Five Guys, these were all by the entrance of the cinema. Yeah. And they were closed. They did not capitalise on, you know, a midnight opening. You're absolutely spot on. A midnight opening of Lego. Because I didn't open it before the movie, but I did see that Lego had released a whole load of Infinity War sets as well. Yeah. So imagine that. You know, there's 2 places you can go. You can go for a burger and then you can go get Lego. They would have made more in that showing than they're going to kind of the next day. So yeah, no, there was no one capitalising on, unfortunately. But
bad business decision.
Exactly. But I was, like I say, I was really impressed at how many people there was, and it was great fun. It was good. I'll do that for the next one. I quite like the midnight showing because, you know, even though saying that, the guy sitting next to me, I wasn't sure if he was famous or not because he kind of came in when the lights had gone down. He came in and sat next to me, and he left straight away. And I thought, you don't come to a midnight showing of a Marvel movie and don't stay for the after credit scenes.
Yeah.
And he left straight away. You know, he got up and was quite quickly left, you know, kind of, but I didn't want to kind of look and see if it was someone famous. And it was very bizarre, you know, and it was just, because and then it kind of, on the way home, in my sleep-deprived state, I was thinking, maybe he's seen all the Marvel movies and he's never seen an after credit scene.
Oh man, he's got a lot of YouTubing to do.
That's a bit like me with The Walking Dead. I didn't realise when we were watching The Walking Dead, I didn't realise there were after credit scenes of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So I kind of went through, because you finish it, go, that's it, I'm done now, and I didn't realise there was a whole bunch of after credit scenes like throughout The Walking Dead, like season 3 and 4 and 5. That they were, and it was so bizarre. And I thought maybe he's the same with the Marvel universe, and that just kind of blew my brain.
A bit like the Sparks pod from last week, the after credit. What are you going to call that? Chuckle? What James was doing? I'm not sure.
That's because I messed up the intro, and it was just like, but it was such a lovely bit of James that I had to kind of stick it in the end. It was awesome.
Hey, I've got to say that was. I think there was a few of us were on the WhatsApp and we mentioned on it, and then you went. Did you stay till the end? And everybody, I could just see everybody, Manny, Steve, everybody just off going, what do you mean the end? And they're like, everyone was starting their apps back up and fast forwarding, and it's sort of like, oh yeah. So don't stop until it goes on to the next pod or doesn't give you anything. Yes,
I do like to kind of, if we've messed up or fluffed up, there's always some good stuff that we can stick in there. So what have you been playing this week, Stu? What have you been gaming?
I think looking at the list, we've pretty much been gaming the same.
Yeah.
I suppose what has everybody pretty much been gaming. I got the PS4 Pro back out of the cupboard, gave it a dust off. Bought myself the controller that you recommended, the Xbox style controller, because I just can't do the PlayStation controller. So started the old PlayStation back up. Could not get the game pre-ordered on Amazon UK. Just like I found today, getting onto the next game we're going to talk about, you can't pre-order that one on Amazon UK as well, even though it's out in less than a month.
Right.
And the free demo was out this week. So I literally jumped in my car, drove to my local Sainsbury's, and luckily now that Sainsbury's, I think I'm right in saying, own Argos. There's quite a lot of Argoses inside Sainsbury's now. So sat here in the morning, click and collect on me phone, went up there, stood there for 15 minutes while the woman found it, then came up to me and tried to charge me a penny short of £10,000 for it.
Worth it, I say.
To which I looked at her and went, I really do want this game, but I'm not paying £10,000 for it. Yes, what had happened was they only had 2 in stock, and the computer was still saying that it was unable to be released. So jumped back in the car, drove home, popped it in, and started playing it. I'm not sure how much I'm into it now. I've just got to. Without obviously giving away any spoilers, I've just got to a point where you've met someone that lives underneath an animal. Let's just go that far. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's not catching me like I thought it might.
Right.
I think it's a gorgeous game, and I think that... I suppose I'm not a huge sort of fantasy sort of gamer. I prefer more, I wouldn't say real world, because things like one of the other games I've been playing, but I prefer more real world, not the fantasy sort of side of it. So
yes.
When I started playing it, you get to a fight pretty soon, and I was a bit like, I'm not sure about this, and then I sort of carried on and plodded on, and then you get to a rather large fight, which does seem to go on for a while, and you're like, okay, this is getting good, and graphically it's stunning, and then you start your journey, and apart from the dialogue, sometimes I'm fed up of the word boy. Every time, come here, boy, and shoot your arrow, boy, and it's like, I'm not boy, you have a name. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm plodding away through it. If I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about playing it, and if I'm not thinking about playing it, I'm listening to other podcasts of people talking about it. But obviously, I think I was listening to the Giant Bomb podcast the other day, and I quickly stopped it because I didn't know whether they were going to go too far into talking about it.
Right.
But I've sort of been listening to Kind of Funny and a few things like that, and they've been giving their opinions on it, but they haven't been giving anything away, and which has been good. But yeah, I mean, it's got me to fire back up the PlayStation, and I'm fundamentally an Xbox person, and I do wish that it was on the Xbox, and I do wish I could get my achievements. But then I know there's a lot of listeners to this pod out there who think the exact different. They want it on the PlayStation. They want to get their platinums. They want to get their trophies. So I just think it's great that we're getting these type of games, and I mean, I think it's brilliant. How have you found it? Because I know you've been playing it.
I absolutely love it. I just think it's just obviously I don't know if we said, but we're talking about God of War. But it's just like it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely just And I think similar to you, I was kind of playing it, going, yeah, this looks fantastic. I started playing in frame rate mode first. So I was playing it kind of 4K HDR or checkerboard or whatever it is. I started playing it but I did frame rate because I was like, oh, it looks gorgeous anyway. I'll increase the frame rate. And then I think I got talking to Manny and stuff, and Manny was like, no, you need to kind of do performance. You need to do like the resolution mode. Yeah. It really pops then. So I turned it on to resolution mode. And I just messaged him straight away. I was like, you're a genius because yes, this is that's so right. In the resolution mode, if you're playing on a 4K TV, my only kind of gripe is with mine is that I haven't got my movie room up and running, and I'm playing it on a 49-inch TV rather than a 65-inch TV because I reckon this looks gorgeous on a 65-inch TV. It's just, but that will come. That will come. Yeah, thanks, Stu. I think I've got about another 3 or 4 weeks before that's kind of setbacks with joiners. But anyway, but the game is just it plays phenomenal. And another thing that Manny was talking about was that he's got the HUD turned off. So he's got the HUD turned off, and if I'm correct, you just touch the touchpad on the controller, and it brings it back up again. So it's almost like you've got nothing on screen. You breeze past, or you just touch the touchpad on the controller, and then it just brings it up, and then it fades again. So you can then kind of do that. So if you don't need to know your health or anything like that, then you can just do that. And I thought that was quite cool because, and again, kind of Maddie was saying that there's a lot of games that are doing this now, like Horizon and other kind of PlayStation games that like first-party games that are doing that. I just thought if that's the same for Spider-Man, then I'm all in for that because I would love to just have like a HUD-less game kind of playing like Spider-Man. That would be absolutely fantastic. But back to God of War. It feels great. I've never played a God of War game. This is one of the things I was always kind of talking about, like to Darren and stuff, was that I've never really played a God of War game. I've played them when they've become free games on the PS Plus and, played one on the Vita and stuff, but I've never really got past maybe level 1 because there was something about the button bashing that never really gelled in me. But this game just really kind of has hooked me because not only is it gorgeous, it sounds amazing. I'm playing it with headphones, and also it just the whole kind of the axe or the axe, the hammer mechanic is just incredible. The fact that you toss it forward, and then you actually have to summon it back. You do actually have to press the triangle button, and when it comes back, it almost comes back in like an arc, and then you see Kratos almost kind of pull back, and it's that, and that still hasn't got boring. It's still, it just is. And when you can then just throw it and it lands in someone's chest, and then you then kind of pull it out and then kind of continue doing it. I just absolutely love it. And I think one of the things that you were saying there was there's a big fight very early on with it's not a spoiler because you don't know who it is, but it's called The Stranger. And there's a big fight that happens there. And that, for me, was one of my favourite moments in gaming for a while. There was something about the cinematic of it. It made me feel like Thor. It really had a kind of a superhero feel to it. And I was just like, I want a Superman game. I want a Thor game. These guys need to make all the superhero games now. It was like something like that. And it just was really cool. And I just loved the kind of banter that was going between Kratos and the Stranger and just the way they were fighting, and it looked phenomenal, and it kept cutting to it's very cinematic, isn't it? The game is like really cinematic,
and I think the way they showed the stranger. It was, without I'm not giving anything away, but the way they represented him was he was very thin, meek. I think if I remember rightly, he had a goatee or a beard or something like that, and loads of tattoos. And it was an interesting character to see. But the axe throwing, I think, is brilliant. I mean, and the fact that when it comes back to you, I mean, I think you were playing it before me, and I saw a tweet from you, and it was sort of like the axe just feels great, and I'm like, I can't understand what you mean. What do you mean it feels? You're playing a game. How can it feel? But you're right. You throw it. I mean, there's one early scene where you lift something and you have to throw it to stop the gate or whatever is from moving, which you do quite a lot in the game. Which is a brilliant mechanic, by the way. And you pull it back, and as you get it, as you say, you see his arm move back, but then you get the rumble on the pad as well, and so it almost feels satisfying. But I think there's a few puzzles. I mean, it's puzzly, but to the point that I think I've heard other people say it's puzzly, but to the point that you find yourself going, okay, I know it's around here somewhere, but there's a few shrines, or I'm not sure, caskets or whatever you open. But on one of the things, you have to run around and you get all three of them, but you have to do it in a set time. Otherwise, you have to go back and do it all again. And then inside those is something, and it's just great because you have to work how. You think, okay, that's furthest one away. So how close or how far away can I be? Throw my axe, then quickly leg it round, and then you learn after a while you can actually be running and recall your axe at the same time. You don't have to wait for it, and I mean it's been great. And as I say, that the fight scene at the beginning, the cinematics around that were brilliant, and I can see why a lot of people are already referring it to the game of the year, and I think it's going to be, a massive seller for Sony, and I think it's going to be a great game, and I want to jump back in, but it is stunning. It's it's a beautiful game. From what I've played so far, you just wonder where these characters are going. And going back to I've never played a God of War before, so I jumped onto IGN's website and found a 7-minute history, which was quite funny and an IGN styley. There was a 7-minute sort of talking about Kratos and where he's been and what he's been doing, and and literally game after game. There are spoilers in there, but if you're not going to go back and watch or play those games, it doesn't really matter. But I would say, look at anybody who wants to play the game, who's not sure, jump onto IGN's YouTube or whatever. I'm sure we'll put it in the notes of the game.
I'll stick it in there.
Even. Just watch it, because it helped me understand why this character was referred to in the game. But it's brilliant, and I'm looking forward to jumping back on and hopefully spending some more time on it.
I think one of the things that really gets me in the game is the relationship between Atreus and Kratos. Kratos is obviously he's a very hard character, but every now and then he's really softening. Things will happen to Atreus, and he's trying to be nurturing. He's trying to be a father to this boy, but he's struggling, and some of the cinematics, like the way Atreus just walks around sometimes. He looks like a kid. I've seen my nephews shuffle around like that. It's just like he looks like a kid the way and it's just his movement, and it's the subtleties that are like that I just kind of find myself just looking at this game going, this is just it's such a cinematic game, and it's amazing, and I'm just absolutely loving it. I just love how many people are, like I say, are talking about it, and it definitely is like right now it's that kind of zeitgeist that God of War is there. But I mean, and back to the kind of axe, it was really funny because when I was playing it, Nicola was sitting next to me and she was playing, I can't remember what she was playing, Picross or something, and she was like, oh, can I, because I think she could hear the rumble, because I'm there with headphones, I can't, but she could hear the rumble, and she was like, that's really good, can I have a go? So she just threw the axe. I showed her how to throw the axe, so she threw the axe and then pressed triangle to get it back, and even she was like, oh yeah, that feels really good. And it was just that kind of, it's that rumble, it's that precise rumble that when you get it back, it really does feel like your kind of joypad just kind of gets it. It just really kind of gives that knock. And it's such a great game. Like I say, I just want to get back into it. Obviously, last night I was watching Infinity War, but I just want to get back into it and just kind of get as far as possible as I can, because I'm just really enjoying it. I love the stats. I'm feeling like I'm getting more and more powerful as I'm going through the game, which is really good. I'm finding it's just constantly going, oh, there's this move. I'm passing a lot of my XP onto Atreus as well, making his arrows and his precision, because that's kind of really helping. I think you have to press the square button. You can press square button.
Yeah, I think it is, and I found that very early on. I think the first sort of, like, I would say the big character you fight very early on in the game.
Yeah.
I just was going hell for leather trying to fight him myself, and as you do, going in there very casual, I can do this, but you're actually finding if you use him, he will distract the whatever you're fighting against, and then you can sneak up behind. So yeah, I mean, I heard that tidbit from someone else, was that don't ignore his power and his skills. I suppose the only thing, if I'm going to be negative about it at the moment for me, is that I think coming out of Far Cry, and obviously being spoilt with games like Zelda, it's still a little bit. I was standing in front of a tree the other day, and you swing your axe, and it just goes straight through the tree. It doesn't hit the tree. You can't chop a tree down. And and then I actually just remembered I've got to a massive lake is where I've just got to, and yeah, it tells you where to go. But if you pull up to the side of this massive lake, you can't get off. There's one bit where you get into a boat after you meet someone, and you see this thing opposite you, but you can't get to it. You can't get off the boat because you can only get off the boat, as far as I know. I mean, I might be wrong, but when you see that you can pull up next to something, and the circle comes up, and you press and hold the circle, and you get out the boat. So. But I'm being petty. I mean, I think it's because I've come out of playing Far Cry, which I was really in, and in Far Cry, I mean, God damn you! After last week's show, or after the last pod I was on, I had to go and find that balloon, the it balloon, and I put it up on social. I just right, where are you? I'm going to find you, and I did cheat. I did go online and find out where it was, because it's but I did go and find it, and I just looked at it and went, all right, I found a balloon. What do I do now? Well, I'll shoot it. Yeah, and I think it's. But no, I think it's a great game, and if I'm being picky, I'm being nitpicky about it. It is a brilliant, brilliant game, and bring more of it on.
Yeah, I think Zelda ruined every game, because you're right. The fact that you can only climb in certain places is kind of like, when Zelda you could climb anywhere, unless it was raining, you could climb anywhere. It kind of does kind of put you back to, I can only climb on those colourful bits, the white bit, I can only do that. But yeah, it's such a fantastic game, and I'm just really enjoying it. And like I say, this weekend I'm going to Infinity War again, but I want to put a lot more time into it kind of over the weekend, and just kind of my kind of Sunday morning gaming. Last Sunday I was painting, so this Sunday morning game we'll be playing a lot of God of War. So I've got nothing on.
Out of the way. Get the painting out of the way. Get that in the bank. You mow the lawn. Do all those things, and then you can justify a day of gaming.
Exactly. I like getting up early before Nicola gets up, and then just kind of plays and goes. It's really cool. So what else have you been playing, sir?
I mean, I suppose the other main game I've been playing was on one of my trips up to London, and I sort of thought, I want to play something. I've got 2 hours on the train roughly. It takes me to get from here up to London. Not doing the bit where I want to be finished about 5 minutes before I get there, so I don't fall asleep, miss stop or something like that. And I was thinking, okay, what do I do? I know a few people have been talking about Florence on iOS.
Right.
And I played a little bit of that on the way back on the train the other week, and that looked really quite cool. I can see why people. I think it was only $3.99. It's about 45 minutes long, but that looks quite a nice little game. But I went on the Switch and just went, okay, I need to do loads of updates, because I haven't been on it for a while since Mario.
Yeah.
And I was just looking around, and I ended up downloading Oxenfree.
Right.
Which I don't know whether you can't remember if you've played it, because I think it was out in 2016, I think it was, or 2017. But But I sort of picked it up, got on the train at about 7:15 in the morning, put the headphones on, not Bluetooth. Come on, Nintendo, put Bluetooth headphones on it. I basically sat there, played it, and got instantly sucked into it. And for people who can't remember it or don't know it, it's a little bit sort of limbo-y, sort of. It's a side scroller. The characters are quite small on the Switch, but you're basically a group of. It starts on a boat. You go to this island where you're all going to have this party on a beach, and then you go into some caves, and then some mystical, weird things start to happen. So, but it's just a great little game. I played it for about an hour on the way up there. There's some nice little touches where you whip out a radio from your pocket, and then if you tune to a certain frequency, something happens, and that progresses the game. Then what is brilliant about Switch, popped it in my bag, went and did my day out, got back on the train, managed to get a seat, which was a miracle coming out of London at London Bridge at I think it was 6:05 in the evening. So
wow, they're gold dust.
Thank you to the train lords for that one. I managed to get a seat, and then jumped on it for another hour. I think people are saying it's 3 to 4 hours long, but right. Yeah, it was. It's a really good game. It's just that type of dark side scroller. You just want to play it. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that as well. So I'm on a bit of a loose end at the moment. It's like, if I'm at home, do I put Oxenfree on and complete that, or I'm almost finding myself doing what Daz does, where it's sort of like where he said before about Zelda when he used to be on the pod, which was like, I don't want to finish it because I'm really enjoying it. And I know is there going to be another one, or is it one of those those type of games where you might get a similar type of format, but it's not going to be a follow on. So been doing that. And then this morning, I took the dog out for a walk, was listening to a podcast whilst walking the dog, and someone happened to mention, or I can't remember why, but I suddenly went, "Oh, Detroit is out on demo," because I know you put it out on the WhatsApp the other day. So got back, immediately switched the PlayStation on. My PlayStation's not seen so much action in the last week as it has done since the Pro came out, I think. And downloaded that whilst I had my breakfast, and then immediately just jumped into Detroit. And I gotta say, I really bloody love it. I thought it was phenomenal. And you can get through. You can't really spoil the first level, because I don't even know it is the first level, but it was the freebie. But you walk in, you walk out of a lift. You're an android, and you're looking into this scene, and something's going on, and you're looking for clues, and it's just the way they've set it up is, yes, they're sort of fixed or slightly changeable camera angles, and you get a little bit used to that, and it does get annoying, but it's the way that you stop and look at someone. You look at it. That reveals some evidence, which may then releases the ability for you to do a reconstruction of what happened, sort of virtually. And then by doing that reconstruction, you spin the camera and you find evidence and you slowly put it together. But what's great is you sort of finish the level, and then it brings up, in the style of some of the other games where it, like Life is Strange, which is your friends or the world took this route, and and I was trying to explain it to Kate, my wife, and I said it's a bit like the books I can remember when I was back in the 80s, where it used to be, if you want to release the ogre from the prison, turn to page 75.
Yes, the Ian Livingstone kind of choose your own adventure game. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and it was brilliant. I mean, I got to the end and I got my result, and then it brought it up, and I saw the timeline, and I thought, so if I didn't take the gun, what happens? Or if I said I had a gun, what happened? And I think I played it about another 5 times. Just to see,
wow, okay.
It pulls you back into the point where you've just started talking to the. You just start to do your investigating. You've spoken to a police officer. You're doing your investigating. So, I played it about another 5 times, and there was, I could never. I don't think I'm going to give anything away by saying it. I couldn't get him to shoot the child, which is quite dark of me. But I'm like, damn you, don't save her, kill her. But every way I just went, but I could.
But
see
even if you antagonise him, like,
oh
kind
my
of really,
god, I
like...
tried to antagonise him. It's like I want a plane. No, I want the helicopter to go. Bugger off. I want this. You're not having it. And then, so I went from being a complete arse to being a really nice guy to being in the middle. And and there was about, I think I saw 2 or 3 different endings, but there was still another 2 endings up there. And you're like, it just made me, I mean, it was only, I don't know, 20 minutes playthrough first, and then probably about 5 minutes each of those afterwards. But it just made me want to go back and back and back and back and play that again. And if it wasn't for the fact that I actually had to do some work today, that I think I could have just sat on it until I unlocked it all. Brilliant. I mean, I went straight on Amazon afterwards. Pre-order. No, you can't. So it's just like, that's a definite one for me. I'm really. I mean, if that was a game in my drive or on my downloads, I wouldn't have gone back to God of War or Far Cry 5. That really had me.
No, absolutely. I mean, I popped in. I've only played through it once, but I kind of jumped in and played like Detroit, and just kind of went, and I really liked it. It was really, straight away, I like the feel that you've got. Obviously, androids are kind of almost a subclass, because straight away, the hostage situation's happening with this girl, and the mother of the girl was like, oh no, you've sent an android, this isn't going to end well, type thing. And it's just really interesting how they kind of see them as a lower class of citizen. And then you just go through, I was doing some investigating, and it was like, do you want to go outside? And then I went outside and kind of did that, managed to save her, as I think probably all of them are, by the sounds of it. But I really enjoyed it. I think if it's one of those games where, if it had said, do you want to buy this now and play the rest of it, I'd have happily clicked buy. Like, do you want to play the rest now? I'd be like, yes. But I think, when's it coming out? When's it due out? Is it next month?
25th of May, I think it was. So it is less than a month, isn't it? I'm trying to think what the date is. Yeah, so
it's the 26th of April we're recording this, and so that's what. So that's 3 days after State of Decay 2. Damn it. That's an instant. It's really weird that you were saying about Amazon at the moment, because God of War, like you say, God of War, Spider-Man and Detroit, you cannot pre-order them. No. They're out of stock, aren't they? But then God of War, on the morning of God of War was released, they suddenly went, you could pre-order.
Yeah.
And it's really bizarre. It's just really quite strange. But I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know. It was weird because, I mean, I think I was sitting in my local Sainsbury's car park, and I think it come from WhatsApp saying, God of War is one of you. I think it was yourself, put God of War now available on to order off Amazon. It's like, too late. I know I can save a £5, but I want it today.
Yeah.
And I don't. And I know there's people out there probably saying, well, you could download it digitally, but I think for me as an Xbox gamer, I prefer to buy my discs, and actually for PlayStation. And then there's also games, which I on the Xbox, like your Call of Duties and that, which I generally will do what you do, which is have them, play them, and then send them back to Boomerang or sell them on. So I don't understand it. It's the special edition. Spider-Man, I think you can only get from Game in the UK. You can't even pre-order it, because I quite often buy my 4K Blu-rays from the States from Amazon. And I picked up Disney Pixar Coco, because you can't get it on 4K Blu-ray over here. I don't know if that's changed, but it's not coming out on 4K Blu-ray in the UK. You can only get it on 4K Bluray in America.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, and because it's got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and and I want to use it in the dem room because it looks a really good a cinematic film. It's just weird. So while I was on there, I was clicking around. It's like, nope, can't get it on there either. So I don't know. I don't know whether people are standing up and saying, Amazon can't get away with things. I don't know, but they've got to be losing a massive market of people who are not going to do it. So. Yeah, I mean, as I say, with Detroit, I loved it. I want to see what happens if I don't save the fish, because I saved the fish. Did you save the fish?
No, I didn't even know there were a fish.
when you walk out the lift. Oh, you didn't even
Yeah.
see. Oh, you didn't even see the fish.
I didn't see the fish.
You didn't see the fish. You got to look around. No, when you walk out the lift for the first time, I think
Yeah.
your eye is taken to the right-hand side where there's a photograph of, I think, the family and the android.
Right.
And then if you turn to your left, there's a fish on the floor flailing around.
Oh, right.
It looks like Nemo, so you feel quite sorry for him.
Yes, like a little clownfish.
Yeah, and so you pick up this fish, and then it goes, do you want to save him, or do you want to put him back on the floor? And as the animal lover I am, I decided to save. But when I wanted to go back, it wouldn't go back that far. Maybe it's just a demo, but it wouldn't go back that far. And I'm thinking, okay, what happens if I don't save the fish? Does that, if I don't save the fish, did the child throw herself over the edge of the building because I killed her fish? I don't, but no, I mean, it's a brilliant game. And
little ripples, little butterfly effect. If you don't save Chuckles the fish, it kind of like she doesn't want to live anymore.
But if you look at the I want to say it's almost like it resembles like a timeline, a family tree, and you can see on there like there's a bit where it says save fish, and underneath it there's a bit where it's empty, and you're like, okay, so obviously if I don't save the fish, I might go somewhere else, and then there's a bit that says, if you leave quickly, or if you get moaned at for taking too long, and there just seems to be so many connotations to the game, and that's what's going to get me. And I suppose when I went back and played, when I finished the last Gears of War just recently, because I was waiting for it to come out on the Shiny X, and then with God of War as well, I think I like the games where you're being sort of pushed a pillar and a post, and you walk this corner. Oh look, there's going to be another battle. Some aliens are going to come and attack me, and I think I like those type of games because you're being pushed left and right, and you're part of the story, and there's things to find. But sometimes with like Detroit and like Far Cry and Zelda and those sort of things, I just like to think, oh, what happens if I do this, or if I take too much time doing this? So, and I think that's obviously brilliant that we got games like that, but that's what got me, was the fact that going deeper into the game when maybe the levels get harder and things like that happen, I think it's just going to be brilliant. I can see myself living in that game for weeks.
I wonder what the full game's going to be, whether it's going to be lots of kind of vignettes of these different stories, because the trailers that they've shown of Detroit have been very different. They haven't had, I think our character was it Daniel? Was the android that you're playing, or is Daniel the guy who has gone rogue? I can't remember, but
sure now,
yeah, one of the, and I just wonder if it's you're following that android, you're following that character, that's your character in the game, or if you're just going to different stories, because David Cage has done he's done Heavy Rain, done Beyond Two Souls, which we'll get to in the PS Plus games for May, but this is also like a bit like a Telltale game as well, but it's a very pretty Telltale game. It's a very gorgeous looking Telltale game. But I love this. There's something about that whole kind of, like you say, choose your own adventure kind of, be able to kind of just change. And as you say, I didn't see it, but I quite like the fact that you have that, this is what your friends did, because that's where James and I were always kind of like looking at Life is Strange and things like that. And I always loved that part of Telltale games as well, going, you and the rest of the world did this, or you and 50% did that. And I love that, just to kind of see kind of where your choices stack up with everybody else.
I think that's great. And that sort of side to it is brilliant. And I think it's refreshing because you see, okay, it may not be a new IP, but it's just something a bit different. And I think although we're gonna have so many games this year, and it's gonna be another year where we've got the pile of shame just growing, and that's not counting all those little games out there I want to play, like the Jurassic Park one that's coming out. I think there's that Surviving Mars I keep on looking at on the Xbox store, which I keep on thinking, I can't really justify that. I'm gonna have to, and I've actually signed back up to Boomerang now, because it's like, okay, I've got to start playing more games if I'm going to be on the pod more.
Yes.
And there's just so many little games out there now where I'm like, I don't really want to drop sort of £30 on it, or £40 or £50, something I might not want. But I mean, there's it's certainly made me. I didn't play Heavy Rain and that, and it's certainly making me think. Okay, I need to go back and look at some of these, some of the games that have come out of the same studios or the similar sort of ilk, because I think they're brilliant.
Absolutely. I mean, Surviving Mars I'd probably skip, but City Skylines is now on Game Pass. So City Skylines is now on Game Pass, and I would say that's a game that I keep wanting to play. If I wasn't hooked on trying to get 300 cars in my Forza 7 garage, I'd be playing City Skylines. Or if God of War hadn't I'd be playing City Skylines, and that's the one that I really want to play.
I have to have a look at that,
because it kind of reminds me of like Sim City, but it looks really cool, and that became one of the like say the Game Pass games. It's really cool. Looks really good. So Nicola saw that and went, ooh, I was like, oh, instant addiction, So it looks really cool. So it looks great. And
I think you've touched on it there. I think the Game Pass thing is brilliant because on the last pod I was on, I talked about Lucky's Tale. And I think that weekend after that pod, I jumped into it because, again, as I said on the last pod, without repeating myself, it's the type of game I can play in front of my 7-year-old, and I'm not going to. I mean, because God of War is very gaudy, and there is a lot of brutality in it, and it's
very gaudy and very war-y.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's sort of in the name, really. It does what it says on the tin. But I think I never would have played Lucky's Tale without Game Pass, and I think that's what I just like about that type of. It's the same with your Netflix, and it's the same with your Spotify's and your Apple Music. It's sort of like you have the ability to sit down and go, I fancy listening to that, or I've heard about this. I wonder what that's like. So I definitely think the more games that they can get on there, I think the more chance. I mean, let's put it this way. I bought the expansion pack for Lucky's Tale because there was another level after it. I didn't pay anything for the game because obviously it was on Game Pass, so I paid my subscription for it. But I got to the end of it, I pretty much unlocked all the 4-leaf clovers you do, and I immediately went to the store and spent it was only minimal, it was about £4 or something like that. But I spent that, and I didn't have a hesitation because I'm like, okay, there's a few achievements there I want, and so I think actually on the almost like the phone way of doing it, where it's free to play and then you pay for the expansion. I think that could work brilliantly for those type of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of a lot of the games that are coming into Game Pass, I think that's kind of a way where you can get that extra monetization. And as James always says, by doing that, it's almost like the tip jar, isn't it? It's like, I got this for free, quote unquote free. I got this for free, but I'm enjoying it so much that I'm going to buy that expansion. I'm going to give you guys that money. And I think that's a really good way of playing those games. Excellent stuff. Right, let's jump into the news section. But before we do, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast free on iTunes and YouTube. So in the news section this week, MPDs are out. Nintendo Switch is selling ridiculously well, spoiler alert. And also we have the free games from May on both Xbox and PlayStation. But Stu, the first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yes, I came across this one the other day on Major Nelson's website, and it's a team up really between Microsoft and Discord. So it looks as if what you're going to be able to do is basically cross platform your gaming. So if your friends are on Discord and they can see that you're playing Sea of Thieves on the Xbox, then basically you can see what everybody else is up to. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, because I've listened to a few podcasts where people have talked about, party chat or game chat on the Xbox works really well. I think few people were saying that it would have been nice if that you could, cross the talk or cross the games or whatever, but maybe that's just a step too far for the minute. But yeah, so it looks like Microsoft and Discord have had a little baby, and that basically there's going to be a bit more interoperability between the two platforms. So that's just great, brilliant.
I mean, that's really cool. I mean, I really like that because obviously with Discord, it's just a chat app. I think when we were playing Splatoon, because Nintendo's online online system is so bad, we just started up a Discord chat. So there was a Sunday evening where Manny, James, Matt, and myself, we were playing Splatoon, and we were just talking via Discord. We were chatting. Matt set up a server. We jumped into that. We were chatting, and then we all had put our headphones on and started kind of chatting in that. And that was really cool. So we were playing Nintendo and doing that. And obviously, if you've got some friends and you just want to talk to them while someone's playing God of War, someone's playing Splatoon, and someone's playing Xbox, someone's playing Sea of Thieves, you can all be in that Discord chat and be playing your own games, or, you've got different people playing different online. You can do that, but you can do that in just one platform. And it's quite cool. I quite like that. I quite like Discord. Like I say, we just fired it up because we couldn't get the Nintendo system to work. So we were like, right, the app that they had, we couldn't really get it. It was really bad quality, so we fired up Discord. So that's quite cool. I like that they've again, it's kind of Microsoft just kind of looking at the other things that the gamers are using and going, yep, okay, we'll plug into that as well. We'll kind of so you never have to leave that Xbox system, because pretty much you could be. Is it an app then on the Xbox? Are you like firing up a Discord app, or
it looks like it basically the Discord app lives on your Xbox One,
right?
I'm looking at a screenshot now on Major Nelson's website where you go in and link the accounts like you would where you link your social accounts, so your Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
And then apparently you're able to launch the Discord from anywhere within the Xbox.
Awesome.
So hopefully it will just be a case of something as simple as, when you're in the game, pressing the Xbox button, that jumps up and you go to my pins or something like that, and then it just launches. But I agree. I think I think that where Microsoft I think are trailblazing over some of the competitors. I think Sony do a fantastic job. Nintendo do a great job at some of the stuff they do, not necessarily the social side of it yet. No. Hence the Discord app. But I think it's just great in respects of that Microsoft. Okay, they have one eye on PC as well, but they're just making it easy to sort of cross-platform, to share things, and I think hats off to them for bringing this to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely, it's really cool. It's absolutely superb. And then
excellence.
And then speaking of added value, I tripped up my tongue on the segue there. So added value to both consoles this month with the free games we have on Games with Gold. He says, well, just getting his Safari tab up. On Games with Gold, we have Super Mega Baseball 2 is coming to Games with Gold on Xbox, and that is coming on the 1st of May until the 1st of June. So I've never played a Super Mega Baseball, but I'm quite interested to kind of jump in. And I believe that this is a new game as well. I don't think it's a game that's kind of been out. It's a brand new game that's coming out on the 1st of May until the 1st of June. And then later on in the month, on the 16th of May to the 15th of June, we have the fantastic Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. Now, this is quite interesting because I played half of Phantom Pain over on PlayStation because it was shinier over there. I think it was HDR, or it was enhanced. So now it's got the HDR, it's got the Xbox enhanced over on there. So I might start. It's one of those games that I never finished, and it's one of those games where I'm going, well, I can never just pick it up, so I might just download this, and this might be a game that I just kind of keep playing because it's very mission based. So that's coming from the 16th of May to the 15th of June, and then over on Xbox 360, playable with back compat. You've got the Sega Vintage Collection Streets of Rage. Who doesn't like Streets of Rage? And also the slide 'em up that is Vanquish.
Ah, very good. I'll have to download some of those and have a play.
Yeah, so Platinum Games Vanquish, that's a great game. It had a really good mechanic where you kind of play this guy in like a mech suit, and you could just slide in to a whole load of enemies and just kind of take them out. And it was I really enjoyed it on the 360. It was a really good game. I think it was towards the end of the 360 life cycle. So, but it was a really good game. So this month, not too bad, I think, on the Xbox.
No, I mean there's a few games in there I've not played, and in my years, the few years I had where I didn't play a lot of games really, and actually segueing slightly, one thing I must thank the pod for is the fact that, listening to the pod when it first came out, it got me really back into playing games again.
Awesome.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you for draining my bank balance of buying those games and consoles and VR headsets, etc., etc. And now I'm on the pod.
Yeah. Sorry, Mrs. Just Had Popcorn. And the great thing is, if you have Game Pass, the precursor to the Phantom Pain is free on Game Pass as well. So they brought out like a little demo where you had this one area that you had to take out. You had to rescue a couple of hostages, and that's actually available as well. So that's available via Game Pass. So you can always kind of, while you're waiting for the 1st of May, which is a couple of days away, you could then just fire up that and kind of jump in while you're waiting for the Phantom Pain to come to be released.
So whilst I'm not playing God of War,
yes,
whilst I'm not finishing Far Cry 5, whilst I'm not trying to do Oxenfree, that's 3 consoles.
Hey,
now.
how you juggle your time.
Now I'll play all these other games.
And then over on PlayStation, we have 2 really good games as well. There's quite a nice little kind of bumper crop from the PlayStation. We have Beyond Two Souls, as I was hinting at earlier. So from the makers of Heavy Rain, the makers of Detroit Become Human, we have Beyond Two Souls, and this was the game that starred Ellen Page. I think it was Ellen Page's likeness, and so this is a game from Quantic Dreams, that kind of their game before Detroit. Very similar vein, similar to that, and similar to Heavy Rain as well. So this is Beyond Two Souls is available, and these will be available from the first Tuesday in May, which I believe is either the 1st or the 2nd. And then we also have the very awesome Rayman Legends as well is coming to PS Plus.
Nice.
So, and that is such a great game. I love that game so much. It's hard as nails later on, but at the start, it just makes you happy playing that game.
Yeah, no, I've dipped in and out of the Rayman games, so I think that's another one I'm going to pick up. I actually not pre-ordered, but I actually went on Amazon today and bought Hard Rain. And the other one we just mentioned, I can't remember the name. The name escapes me.
Yep, Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, that's it. That was a double up.
Right.
So I might now cancel that and actually play that one for free.
Yes.
And wait till Heavy Rain comes out somewhere. But no, I'm definitely going to jump on those. And and I think this is what's great about these the PS Plus and the games with gold. I think it's great. Again, a bit like the Game Pass, and that it just gives you. Why would you not download them? Why would you just not on a Sunday morning when you're thinking, I don't want to play this, or I don't want to get into God of War because I'm going out? You can just fire one of these up, get some trophies or some Chivos, and just think, oh, actually, I found a little gem there. So, no, thank you. Hats off.
Absolutely. And then the other games that are kind of coming out, we have Risen 3, Titan Lords, Eat Them on the PS3, King Oddball on the PlayStation Vita, and also Firmins on the PlayStation Vita. I think King Oddball might be cross-platform. They haven't got listed here in the PlayStation blog notes, but I think that might be cross-platform as well. So all of those are going to be available from Tuesday, the 1st of May, that first Tuesday in every month. So yeah, but definitely, I think the top picks there, I used to say, are Beyond Two Souls and Rayman Legends, because like last month I bagged Trackmania Turbo. The month before that on PlayStation I did Bloodborne. I haven't played Bloodborne yet, but like you say, I've got it sitting there going, whenever there is a lull, I've got games just sitting there waiting to play, and I think that's one of the coolest things about both of those kind of free games.
I think that's it. I think it's you have them sitting. I mean, I've on my shame list, I've still got like Assassin's Creed from last year and a few things like that, but you don't really want to jump into a big triple rated game sometimes, because you're going to be there for hours, and you just want to pick something up you can just dip in and out of and just play. And that's why I've always liked the sports games, or some of the sports games, because you can just dip in, play a game of football or a game of golf, and then just come back out again. And it's just it's like watching an episode of something. It's just a very quick dip in, dip out sort of thing. So more stuff to play.
Absolutely. And then the next piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yes, the NPD figures are out, and there was the reason I sort of brought this up, because it's something that a lot of people will sort of touch on in their pods, but it was looking at the list really, because what was quite good was to see the top of the list was Far Cry 5. I think there's no surprising there. It's a great game. I think a lot of people have been playing it, and but I think what was very good was the next two, which was in number 2 was Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
Which is brilliant. Well done, James and the team. And then after that, which obviously Sea of Thieves is Xbox only, and then at number 3, I think I'm right in thinking, because it's a Sony Corp game, was MLB 18 The Show. So we've got a cross-platform at the top, but straight after that, straight in. And actually, looking here in fourth as well, we've got Kirby Star Allies, which I think James was talking about last week. So you've literally got top of the pile Ubisoft cross-platform, but then you've got Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo in 2, 3, and 4. So I think that's just showing you how strong some of the titles coming out. I mean, after that, apart from Ni no Kuni, they're all games that we know and love, and ones that have been out already and are cross-platform. So I think personally for the top 10, and I'll get on to the second half of the sort of top 20 in a minute. I think Far Cry, brilliant game. Sea of Thieves, brilliant game. I think it's great to show that even just single platform games, they're performing really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really healthy lineup. It's a nice mix, actually, when you look down the MPDs. And I'll stick a link to this Forbes article that you put in the show notes. I'll stick that into the show notes as well if you want to kind of have a look. But it's really, it's quite nice. And I didn't know that MPDs is now tracking digital sales as well. Apart from Nintendo, they are tracking digital sales as well. So that Sea of Thieves is physical and digital, which is really good to see that, because I wish they'd do a breakdown of the percentage, because I'm really interested in how many people are still going physical, or how many people are kind of digital only.
Yeah, and I think taking on your point there, I don't think those figures will include Game Pass, because obviously it was day one on Game Pass,
right?
Because you're not physically downloading it, because I'm not sure, but listening to a few of the other pods, they were sort of thinking the same, which is, do those figures include Game Pass plays like me? I don't know if you've bought it, but when I've played it, I've been playing it as Game Pass. So actually, if they were to include those figures, where would it have gone? Would it have gone? Because I'm looking at the interweb now, and and it says what's in the list, but it doesn't say the actual sales figures. So how far in front was Far Cry 5 being cross-platform? So I think that's quite an interesting one. The other one, which I thought which was quite interesting, and the reason I tagged the Forbes web page into the notes, was if you come down to number 15, you had A Way Out, which I've got and I haven't played yet, and I keep on meaning to play it because it's co-op.
Yes,
I haven't got round to, so I'm thinking to myself, well, blimey, if that's number 15 as a co-op only game, where could that have been if there was a single player? Or it just makes you think. So I think for those guys to be surrounded by PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and things like that, I think they've done a sterling job. But it is a game that I want to jump into. Have you jumped in and played it yet? Or?
No, because I thought we were going to play together, weren't we? Because not only is it a co-op only game, but I can be cheap and not buy it, because I can piggyback off of your copy, can't I? And you can give me a code that I can. So if we did that, can I play the full game?
Yes.
Wow, we need to set a Friday night up, and
I think it's a case of I can give you a copy of mine and invite you in. I'm just not sure if I don't think you can then play it with, say, James.
No, that's to be expected. I think it's kind of there. There has to be a master copy somewhere, and I quite like that idea, because it's definitely something that I want to play through. And it doesn't seem like one of the ones where you would have a lot of like chat or banter, because you'll probably be listening to the game. But at the same time, it's like watching a movie, isn't it? It's like kind of like, so it'll probably be a complete different experience to our Forza-thons. But it's like, I'm really interested in this game, and I really kind of like the cinematics. I like the way they've done different camera angles, even though prison movies scare me a little, I'm still kind of want to jump in because it just like kind of I just want to play this game. So yeah, we definitely have to set that up. Once we've got past the God of War kind of bubble, I think we should kind of fire this up.
There's no elbow patches in prison.
No, there should be. There should
and
be.
I've seen some clips on it because I'm not worried about spoilers and things like that. But I've seen some clips and there just seems to be some really cool. I mean, I saw one person that both characters are sitting on a swing. And it was one of these, I don't think we can call it now, but it's one of these swings where you both sit on either side and you're facing each other and then you swing together on it.
Right.
And they've obviously built it into the game by where it was like, what are we doing? And the other character, well, I don't know, you asked me to come over. Well, I just sat down.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just going to be a phenomenal game just for that. So I definitely think it's one to dip into. And I think, as you say, once some of the bigger games are gone. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm up for some of that. That'd be really cool.
Excellent. So the next story is over with you.
Yeah, and it's almost a bit of a segue. I can hear James screaming from all the way from Nuneaton. Is that Nintendo, who kind of keep some of their figures kind of close to their chest, they had a press call, they had an earnings call last week, and basically the Switch is selling gangbusters. So they released some numbers. I've got these on a really good website, and they released some numbers for not only the Switch itself, but also some of their top games as well. So in the article, they're basically saying that right now they have shipped 17.79 million units of for the Nintendo Switch. There's like 17.7 million Nintendo Switch units out there, which is compared to the kind of whole life cycle of the Wii U when there was only 13 million. And then they have also sold 68.9 million units of software as well. So this is ginormous. And some of the things that they were saying was like Mario Kart in comparison has sold 9.2 million units on Switch, and it only sold 8.4. Not only, you can't say only on 8.4, but it sold 8.4 million on the Wii U. So it's just showing how we all did actually rebuy that game, and we were happy doing it. And then some of the other figures that they also announced and they also released was that Super Mario Odyssey has sold 10 million units. Breath of the Wild sold 8.4 million units, so it kind of makes me think, if there's 17 million Switches and you've only sold 10 million Super Mario, what are those people playing? It's like when you hear God of War only sold 20 million and there's like 45 million or 70 million PlayStations. I'm like, what else are you people playing? You know, and it's always befuddles my brain. And then there was 6.2 million units of Splatoon 2. 1-2 Switch sold 2.2. ARMS sold 1 copy, and that was James, and he was still angry about it. ARMS sold...
I did buy it as well.
Oh, my God.
That was 2 copies, sorry. So, yeah, I'm with you, James.
ARMS sold 1.8 million units. Xenoblade Chronicles sold 1.3, and Kirby Star Allies, which has only just come out, sold 1.2. So there's like it's a really healthy software. It's a really healthy software sales. What I always like is when they do the attachment rate. You know, it's like, okay, we've got 17 million Switches and everyone's all bought 8 games or this, and and obviously that's not counting all of the other games that are on there and all of the digital games. But they're kind of their big hitters really have been selling well, and this caused their stock prices to rise as well. With the announcement of this, and also Labo as well, because Labo was released in the US last week, and it's going to be...
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it's going to be out at the time of podding, 26th of April. It will be out tomorrow, and I believe Matt and James are eagerly awaiting their cardboard to arrive.
I did ping myself onto Amazon today and look at it, because I pre-ordered it, and then I cancelled it, and then I looked at it again, and I'm like, okay, it's still there, but it's just like, I want to play it, and I want to have a play, and I think, with my daughter,
I was going to say, hold up a second,
Yeah,
you're missing a key element there. Not you want to play it, but you should be playing it with Molly. She would be like, she'd be all over it.
No. No, because if there's the thing when you're a parent, you soon realise that when they ask for the iPad, after a few weeks, that then becomes their iPad.
Yes.
So I think it was her birthday in October. I said to her, what would you want? What do you want for your birthday? Would you want a Switch, or what else would you want? And she said, no, I don't want a Switch. So I didn't buy her a Switch.
Right.
And now she comes up to me every now and again and says, Daddy, can I play your Switch? It's like, no, this is my little baby. You can't play with my Switch. Leave it alone. Because my iPad Pro has been taken over with Minecraft,
right?
Which I did feel really old, actually, going off tangent for a slightly, when she turned around to me the other day and said, Daddy, how do you play Minecraft? And it was the first time I've sat there and went, I don't know. I know of this game, and I know how massive this game is, but I've never actually played it, so I don't know how to play it. But no, I mean, the Switch is brilliant. I mean, it's I forget sometimes how brilliant it is, you know, like playing Oxenfree on it, and I came back and if it wasn't for the fact that the Champions League football was on and I was listening to Radio 2 on the Skybox on the 65-inch, I'm not sure what was going on there, because I couldn't actually see anything apart from a Radio 2 live logo.
Nice.
And then I start worried about screen burn. That basically I lost my tangent then.
You were going to dock it in your TV and you were going to take it from the train. Look at that. I know exactly where your thoughts were going.
It was so, the characters were so small, I sort of sat there and thought, well, I could listen to the football and play it. I'm like, yeah, but the characters were small and you could only see them, and I'm thinking, hold on a second, you can dock it. I forget that you can dock it.
Yeah.
And I think, and I honestly can say, apart from some very early Zelda and Splatoon, with my slightly obsessive Splatoon colour controller phase that I went through. I've got something with controllers. That I forgot that you can dock it. So when the football had finished, I put it straight in the dock, put it up on the 65-inch, and it was like, ooh. And I think that's where it's been such a good machine for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because the Wii was brilliant, and the Wii had everybody from my wife to my mum to my gran playing it. And I think the Wii U, they stepped up massively, which they agree that they messed up there. But I think then to come out with the Switch, which everybody had an idea what it was going to be, but I don't think anybody ever imagined for a second that it was going to be the phenomenal success as it was. And it's, I took a bag with me to London the other day just to have my Switch and my headphones in.
Yeah.
Didn't need it for anything else. But I'm like, I'm on the train for an hour. I want to play a game. I want to not play an iOS game or an Android game. I want to play a Nintendo game or something.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's been brilliant. And then some of those games like South Park game, which I didn't want to really play on the Xbox. I think that came out the day I went to London, so I thought, well, I'm not going to download it because I might not get it downloaded in time. But I think it's just another great platform for going, okay, I'm not played that on the Xbox, but I can play it on my holidays, or I can play it on the train, I can play it on the plane. I played it on the way to Indianapolis last year, and I think that's why the sales are there, is because it's brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I do see some games on the Xbox going, I want to play that on the Switch. It may be like an indie game. I did that with Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley was there on the Xbox, but I was like, no, I want to play that on the Switch because I want to play it in bed. I want to play it on the train. I want to play it on the plane. They were those games. It's just like, I think you're right, South Park is out. That's in my Boomerang list. And also the next one, I think next week, is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And I never played that on the Wii U because I think I only played about 4 games on the Wii U. So I'm looking forward to playing that, and there's like Captain's Toad's Adventures coming out later in the year, and there's so many games like that I'm just like, I cannot wait to play. At the moment when I'm travelling back to and fro from London or Manchester, I'm playing Mario Cross Rabbids, Mario plus Rabbids, and I'm really enjoying that, and that is such a pick up, and I'm just going to play this one battle, and then I'm done, and that sort of stuff, and it's just, I love it. I love the Switch. It's always in my bag, it's always in my bag, and I don't know about you, but the charge stays. I mean, going to and from London, I don't need to worry about it. I have a battery, a USB battery pack in my bag just in case, but I never need to worry about it. It's always fully charged. I take it out of the dock before I head off in the morning, and I just play it going there and coming back, and it's the charge is still there.
I took a brick with me to London. I've got quite a large brick charger because I thought, well, I'll take the. I'm on a bit of a health kick at the moment, so I thought, well, I don't want the watch to run out, or the phone to run out, or the Switch to run out, and I think apart from my phone, because I was tweeting quite a lot for Home Tech Gallery and whilst I was at this event, that was the only thing. But I didn't really need to charge that. But I didn't even think about the charge on the Switch, and it's actually, as you just said that, I'm thinking, yeah, I took that and the cable to charge it, but I just played for 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think. Yeah. And it didn't once occur to me the fact that I needed to charge it. So, and I just think, I think the game last week, is it Minute that James was playing?
Yes.
I think one of the guys, it might have been Manny, I'm not sure, said about, I'll add that to my Switch list on the WhatsApp group. And it's like, and I thought exactly the same. I was like, let's get that on the Switch. It's like, it's not. But I think you're right. You do look at games like that and think, I either wish it was on the Switch, or I'm not going to play it there. I'm going to play it on the Switch because it's something that I can just take on the road with me. Yeah. If I'm on site for work and I'm having a bit of lunch, I can, rather than sitting there and flicking through Facebook, I can just pull the Switch out and then lose about 3 hours rather than 20 minutes. But yeah, luckily I work for myself, so I can't sack myself.
Yeah. Like Stu, you play too many games at work. But that's really cool. And I'm looking forward to Firewatch coming out later this year. I've already played it on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, and now I'm going to play it on the Switch again. And I can't wait. I love it. I just love it. Superb.
I love that game.
And then
love that game.
And then the next piece, or the last piece of news, Stu, is with you.
I quickly picked up on this before we podded, but looks like the April Xbox updates are coming out, and the reason I pulled up this, it's quite long-winded, and I'll probably miss some stuff on it, but there's a couple of things on here which I thought were really key. The first one is around the video and display, which I think Xbox are really pushing home on, and not to disrespect PlayStation, but I did notice a difference playing God of War on some of the. I was playing it and I'm really enjoying it on the PlayStation, but I was just thinking how better it would look in native 4K on the Xbox. Yeah, but. Microsoft have added a bunch of features, one of which they are calling, let me just find this, auto low latency mode. So they're bringing that into now. So basically what this does is if your game and your TV support, as they're calling it, as we love acronyms, ALLM, then basically the console will automatically switch into a low latency mode. Because obviously latency is very important in gaming. So I think that's great that they're looking at the latency side of it. They're also looking at the refresh rate on the AMD graphics, and they've basically looking at unlocking that a bit more on both the One S and the One X, introducing some new formats around that. So I think they're pushing ahead and basically trying to up the resolution. I mean, they're now saying on here the Xbox One X and Xbox One S now support an output of 2560 to 1440, so 1440p resolution, which is over 1.5 million more pixels than 1080. Wow. So even at the lower resolutions, they're still making them higher resolutions. So I think that's just brilliant, for the clean, crisp games that we're getting on the console.
Absolutely. When I'm playing my Xbox One X on the 1080p TV, the games look phenomenal on there. They look absolutely stunning. It's almost like I guess it's like I've got a 1080p image. Well, I've got a 4K image that's then being squished down to a 1080p rather than something being blown up to that, and it just looks absolutely superb. So that auto low latency, does that mean that my TV, when I turn on my Xbox, it's going to jump to game mode? Is that what it's going to like? Yeah. It's going to tell the TV, I'm playing a game, because right now, my HDMI 2 shares a 4K switch box between Apple TV, the Switch, and also the Xbox. So when I'm watching maybe a movie on the Apple TV, I put it to Cinema Pro, which I've tuned and honed. So, and then when I go to game, sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks a bit grey. That looks a bit like lack of colour. And I realise, oh, I've got to change it to game mode. So now with this mode, that would automatically change to game mode for me, I'm guessing.
Yes, and potentially no.
Right.
I've actually done something with my system at home. I had issues with my Xbox One X. One was heat, because my equipment lives in an AV rack. So I would advise anybody who puts their consoles in a cupboard or in an AV rack, make sure it's on the bottom shelf, away from any other heat source, because the Xbox One X does get really hot. And my other issue was that my TV is about 7 meters away from where my Xbox lives. So I always had issues with Kinect, and I have issues with PlayStation VR. And so what I've actually done is I've actually connected my Xbox to my TV straight with an HDMI connection. It's actually running over fibre. And then I've actually taken an optical out of the console into the back of the amplifier. Now, I could, if I was running it for Dolby Atmos and things like that, that wouldn't work.
No.
But for me, I know that that's going to work, giving me the best resolution. Now, the only thing, yes, it will flip your TV over to game mode. If you've got something in the way, it'll just be interesting to see that if having an amplifier like your amplifier, and like I think I've got the same one, whether that signal goes through the amp and then gets stripped off in some way.
Yes.
So it might require a little bit of playing around, and I think that's especially with the Xbox X. I mean, I had a massive play around with that, and I found that for me, even using some very expensive HDMI leads, which you don't have to buy, I could not get a stable picture on an HDMI lead over 5 meters.
Wow.
As soon as I went from 5 meters to 7.5 meters, I had massive resolution issues, pitch drop out, everything.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, in getting away from that, in layman's terms, yes, if your game supports latency mode, your TV has a game mode, they should talk to each other and flick over so you'll get the low latency mode.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I'm thinking for like up in the living room where it's kind of like it's there isn't an amp in the middle, so that's where that would do. When we're down in the game room, the Harmony remote automatically switches to game mode anyway. If I click game, it goes, right, I'm going to put you on AV setting this, and I'm going to do the TV to this, and it does all that for me. But like upstairs, that'd be really nice if it did that auto switch, just so I don't have to press the remote control, or as the remote control for the TV is always like so far away because I don't need it, I have to get up. We all know I don't.
Damn.
We all know that's why I do digital, because I don't like getting up. So it's just like
you need to buy a second remote control just in case,
or a robot or a drone to go and pick it up for me. So is there anything else that's coming in the April update?
Yes. So we have some streaming side of things. So basically, integration with Mixer is going to be a lot easier. They're also turning on Share Controller, which I'm not sure if you've brought up on the pod before, but I know I've heard it before, where if you're broadcasting on Mixer, you can share your controller from other people. And there's various other things. I mean, I think the one for me, which and I think we touched on it today, which was the stupid amount of steps it takes to do it currently, is the deeper Twitter integration into Xbox. So now you should be able to save that image and tweet it out, including hashtags, straight from your Xbox straight to Twitter, without having to upload it to OneDrive, download it from OneDrive, upload it to Twitter, write your tweet, hit send, and then you've forgotten what you were going to write in the message by the time it's done all that. So I think that for me, that's going to be quite interesting. Sorry for anybody who follows me. You're now going to get bombarded with videos and tweets of me using TNT on a bear in Far Cry. But I think just general. They're doing people in groups can set up tournaments now.
Yes.
Admin have a lot deeper integration into what they will and will not allow. So I just think, I got this from news.xbox.com. I think I could sit here for 10 minutes reading it all off, but I just think, it just again goes to prove with Microsoft and the new avatars as well that have come out or coming out.
Those new avatars look awesome.
I think it's hats off to Microsoft for just constantly pushing the envelope, and I know there's rumours going around at the moment that Sony people might be able to change their gamer tag sometime in the near future, potentially, maybe big E3 announcement. But I think that, as an owner of both consoles and a lucky owner of both consoles, I just always look towards Microsoft, think, okay, you haven't got the market share, but God damn you're trying to get back that market share, and you're really honing down on some really fundamental, having Dolby Atmos on a games console, having a 4K Blu-ray player on a games console. I mean, I build, without blowing my own trumpet, I build 60, 70, 80,000 pound cinemas.
Yeah.
And it has an Xbox One X in it. Just because even if they're not gamers, just because it's just, why wouldn't you? It's native 4K. It gives you all these wonderful things, and you don't have to have 21 different players. It is the Xbox One they wanted back in 2013, and it's slowly becoming that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it always befuddles my brain, because you would expect, Sony being, an entertainment manufacturer, their movies and TVs and everything, the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation would be more kind of have all of that one-stop shop, have that Blu-ray drive and stuff like that. And I understand why they don't do it, but it just befuddles my brain that they don't. And you're right, it's Microsoft may be behind, but what they're packing in, and when you listen to interviews with people like Albert Pinello, who is kind of one of the R&D guys, these guys are like you, like me, like us. They're tech nerds, they're audio nerds, they're visual nerds, and I just love that they're putting all of that into this box. I hadn't seen this update notes, and I'll stick a link in the show notes, but just looking through that, there's some really cool stuff in there. And, and as we were just saying, there was a leak, I think in between the two pods, like from last week, there was a leak video of the new avatars, and if those new avatars, they look like DreamWorks characters, if those new avatars come out, Nicola's got a job to kind of make mine first, and then
and mine.
We'll kind of farm her out, to go, right, can you make people's avatars, log in as you, make the avatar, and then but they look amazing, and that's another fun thing. But it's another thing, and there's a lot to be said for being behind in a console race, I guess.
I think first of all, what you should do is create a Patreon page for Sparks.
Yes,
and not be donate if you like the pod, or if you want to buy a new T-shirt for Anthony. But it is literally $5 Patreon pledge, and Nicola will do your avatar for you.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, Nicola, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. And next time I come over, please don't hit me.
But she'll probably love it. She'll just sit there and go, right, okay, there's a picture, because I remember doing that once when I was podding. And it was everybody's golf, and so I think the entire time I was podding, she was making my avatar, and it was spot on. I was playing the new Harry Potter game, and I was messing around with that, and even that, you could see her just kind of gravitating over, going, "Oh, choose that nose and choose that." And I was like, "No, I just want him to look stupid," and just like kind of randomly pressing stuff, and it was so it's a gift. It's a gift the young lady has, but I'm hoping that with the maybe E3, maybe a little bit before we get those avatars, so we're playing with those, and I can put a Batman T-shirt on it.
Definitely. I think going back to your Sony thing as well, I think what I like about with what Microsoft are doing is the departments are listening to each other. And I think, my background when I started the business is I used to do a lot of work for the Sony centres.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know Anthony, and that's why I now flog him TVs myself, because the Sony Centre's gone. But I think very early working with Sony as a freelancer, you realise that they don't talk to each other.
No.
So, Sony Pictures don't talk to Sony Entertainment. You don't talk to the PlayStation. You don't talk to the TV department. So you get that, year before, when we had the VR come out, and you had the PlayStation 4 Pro, which was 4K upscaling, and you had TVs which were native 4K, and then you put the VR in the middle, which only had I think it's 1.3 or 1.4 HDMI chipset. that didn't support it, so it stripped it. And the reason that happens is because the departments don't talk to each other. And I think, where things works well, and I think where Microsoft have been good, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm blowing Microsoft trumpet, is that they seem to just talk to each other. The PC departments and the Xbox departments, and obviously Phil himself, and they're talking to each other and looking at what is on point at the moment and what gamers want. And I think whether it happens on the Xbox One or the Xbox 2 or whatever they call the next one, I think Sony have got to watch their back, because I can really see this snowball of what Sony of Xbox are doing, that they could start overtaking. And I think unless Sony pull out something massive like a massive lead like they did, or Xbox drop the ball, or they put a 8K Blu-ray player in the next PlayStation 5 or something like that, I can honestly see the next generation race being really, really close.
Which is, I guess, similar to previous generations, isn't it? It's almost like that underdog has built up their armour to do the next one. Backwards compatibility, all of this sort of stuff. Again, befuddling brains that I cannot pass HDR through my PlayStation VR. That just do not even get me started on that one. So anyway, right, should we wrap this up?
Let's wrap this up. Let's before we hit 2 hours. Let's wrap this up.
We are kind of we're getting close. It's almost close. So that was the April update. Like I say, I'll stick a link in the show notes. And then with that, it's about it for this episode. Stu, great. Stu, look at that. You can tell I'm tired. I'm leaving that in. You can tell I'm tired. Stu, thanks very much for putting up a mic.
Awesome, mate. It's I would say it has been a pleasure. Unfortunately, I've had the Skype feed up so I can see how tired you are.
Yeah, look at those eyes. Look at those eyes.
And I would suggest that we jump online and play a way out straight away and do the full 3 or 4 hours. But you'll be sleeping before we even escape the prison.
That'd be so funny. You just suddenly see my character just veer off to the right.
Slouch.
And you hear me snoring in your headset. And you're like, wake up. Don't forget you can keep up with us. Look at that, Forever a Pro. Don't forget you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can find us on Facebook. On Twitter, we're Lost Spark Pod. You can also find us on YouTube and the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox One Club. Stu, where can people catch up with you, sir?
On Xbox, and now my PS is back online. I am General Letdown on those. I'm also General Letdown on Twitter for my gaming, and then for my business and tech side of it, I'm Popcorn_Stuart.
Don't forget, if you have any feedback or any questions for any of the Sparks, you can send that to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Right, I'm going to go sleep. Say goodbye, Stu.
Sleep tight.
Thanks, night.